Hello, welcome to the Evolve Vets podcast.
I'm Anna.
And I'm Bethany. Together, let's stop revolving and start evolving. Hello, and welcome to the Evolve Vets podcast.
I'm Anna.
And I'm Bethany. And today we're going to talk about how we're moving through our authenticity summer evolution. Anna, can you tell us a little bit about the summer evolution?
Sure can. So we've been going through what's called a summer evolution with our members for the past few weeks. This is an 8-week program that we do with our community where we move through a masterclass that Bethany and I built, and it's all about authenticity. For us, this is a foundation to our approach to coaching and leadership and living a fulfilling life. At the center of everything, it's important to identify your values so that you know what success and fulfillment looks like for you. And so part of the evolution is we walk through to identify what those values are, because believe it or not, people will talk about authenticity and talk about values, but most people we talk to, most veterinarians, because specifically we're talking about veterinarians, do not know what their values are. And so that's step one, is we take time to do that. And then we start to acknowledge where the gaps are. So once you know what your values are, then you're looking at your calendar and you're saying, oh shit, like I'm not spending time on those things. And then the next step after that is to get really real with yourself about why are you not spending time on those things? And then how can you take action to start spending time on the things that matter to you? At first, it might seem like there's no way I can do that. Like, I need to stay in this situation so that I can do XYZ or pay my bills. And there's no way I'd be able to spend time doing that. And it's just not true. Oftentimes, there's not a huge dramatic shift that you need to make in your life. It's small changes over time that get you closer to what success is for you. And then finally, you can get to the point where you are spending majority of your time living in alignment. And Bethany and I are there now. And it's not perfect by any means, but we're spending a lot of our time on the things that we each value. And so that is success for us. So this episode is all about how the summer evolution is going, how Bethany and I are doing in the summer evolution, because this work is valuable for us still. Every time we go through it, something new comes out of it. And obviously things change over time in our lives. And so we're going to share with you some of the realness of things that this masterclass is bringing up for us and shifts that we're in the process of making. And then importantly, what we want to share is this quiz that we have to figure out, how aligned are you? How authentically are you living your life and showing up for your values? So we put together a quiz and you can take it online. We'll link it to this podcast. But Bethany, can we walk through what those different levels are?
Absolutely. We're going to start by walking through the levels of authenticity and kind of the flow that you'll notice as you start to identify, do I know my authentic values? If I don't know them, how do I start to learn about them? And then how do I apply that so I can live a fulfilled and authentic life? Okay, great. We're going to pull out our phone because we want to make sure that we're identifying these values and describing them thoughtfully. And Anna and I have talked a lot about them and developed a lot of notes. And we want to make sure that we're touching on each individual piece for each identifying title. The first is going to be a complete depletion. So you're out of alignment and completely out of energy. The second level is going to be a mismatch of alignment. And then you'll move to a transformation or an integration level. And then the fourth level is when you're living in alignment and you're showing up as your evolved self. With level one, we have depletion. So with depletion, you're probably thinking, I feel like I'm on autopilot. I'm completely out of energy. I'm noticing things like control, perfectionism, self-abandonment. I'm exhausted. I don't have the energy to show up for my family, for my friends, for the people I love and care about the way that I really want to. I'm on empty. And you might be thinking, there's more for me out there, but I don't even know what it is. I don't know how to get there. And it seems really unattainable. A lot of victim mindset comes up in this stage. So if you're noticing you're completely burnt out, you're struggling to find the energy to do the things that you love, and you're not really sure what's next, this is probably a good identifier that you're in the depletion mode.
And depletion is more common than we think. And I think you'll have cycles throughout your life where maybe you're feeling this way. And so I've felt this way sometime last year. And with depletion, you don't have the energy for much. You say, like, I'm going to work and I'm spending most of my time there. I come home, I barely have time to get enough sleep, let alone hang out with my family or do chores around the house or like a hobby. Wow, that seems so far-fetched. And so you might have this throughout your life at different times, but really it's when you just don't have the energy for anything else and you're saying, I don't even know how to do this work. I barely have time to listen to this podcast. That's depletion.
I think another example, or one of the reasons why the energetics of this stage is complete exhaustion and drain, is that you're living out somebody else's values. You're going along with what society taught you, maybe a religion, maybe a culture, and you've been, self-abandoning and showing up, living out this life or checking the boxes of what it's means to be a great veterinarian or means to be a great daughter or sister or mother or all the other millions of things that women are expected to do. And because you're living according to the values of the life that you've grown up in or the people around you or the job title that you have, that's actually what's leading to this depletion. Work is always going to exist. You're always going to need to have some sort of job. You're always going to need to have some sort of relationship with friends or family or community. So showing up to those is really important. So if you're completely depleted, it's probably because you're not actually living according to your values and you probably don't even know that you aren't.
Yeah, and also we see this a lot with leaders and I felt this in a leadership role. And so maybe you're feeling it on the floor or maybe you have made it really far in your career and on paper you're successful, but you're feeling totally depleted. Like I'm a leader and but I'm giving all my energy to people or I'm always on call, I'm always showing up to the hospital or I need to fill shifts or do this or do that. Someone always needs me and that's depletion. And that can happen to a leader, even if you've done a lot of work. It's just situations change. And maybe you were really excited by something at the beginning and you grew and you learned a lot, but then circumstances change, whether that's in your personal life or in your job or even within that role. That environment can change and throw you into depletion. And it's important that you recognize when that happens, even if you weren't in it before.
Now we have the second step in the process, which is a alignment mismatch. So you know what your values are, you've learned, you've gone through the master class, and you've identified these are my four core authentic values that I'm going to lean into. But you're noticing that you're kind of stuck. You can't go any further. You don't know how to take the next step, or you haven't committed to taking the next step. A lot of this can be based on fear, like you don't know what next steps are or how to take that next step. Often it's just a gap between what you know internally and what inspires you and how you're showing up. So this is a good example of how are you spending your time? How are you spending your money? And is it in alignment with the things that make you really excited about life?
This is what a lot of women in our evolution are going through, kind of in the middle of the evolution. They've taken the time to identify the values, and then they're like, oh, I didn't realize that I valued house or home. And maybe they're spending so much time at work and they're like, I want time to recharge at home. I want to have this sacred kind of sanctuary space. And, I'd love to like go to the farmer's market and come home and be able to cook and do all these things. And they just realize like they're not doing that. They're in a rush. They're going to work. They're coming home. They're, getting fast food or making something quick that's like a pre-made meal and they're not able to be at home and have slow mornings, those sorts of things. So it's just being able to have that recognition.
Absolutely. And something we might hear these women say is, I'm aware and I know that I need to change, but I don't have the energy or I don't know how to move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is that there is always a path forward. There's always a change you can make, but it's a there's a little bit of like fear and a little bit of hopelessness in that you're like that is such a far-fetched dream. I can't imagine how I would ever get to a place where I could spend my time on something that lights me up so much.
Yeah, or permission. Like even when Anna and I were thinking about starting the Evolve Vets, we almost like needed people to give us permission to take that big leap and do something that felt a little bit scary because we knew it was in alignment with our values, but we weren't sure if we could take that next step. And it was a little bit scary and we had that courage and we did. So, working into alignment is
It
step by step
yeah,
exactly like
it
that.
it takes time, and I'll always remember a few years ago when there was a coach who I was working with, and I was working an office job, and, I had my vacations that I'd take every year, and I got to vacation a lot by, like, normal society standards, right? But it was not enough for me personally. I love traveling and exploring. I don't think of it as a vacation. It's just a lifestyle that I desire, that I want to be in different places. And I just remember being on the phone with this coach, and I was like, I don't see how that's gonna happen. Like, travel is my hobby. I get to do it for, maybe 4 weeks a year, 5 weeks a year, but, like, I can't make money doing that. I just don't see how it's possible. It's not something I can do and still have meet my career goals. And she was a mirror for me, and she called me out. She was like, "You can do that. It's in you for a reason. You want that for a reason. You're not happy the way you are now. You were, but, like, there is a mismatch here." And so she challenged me, and she showed me that it was possible to do something else, and here I am, traveling emergency veterinarian, co-owner of the Evolved Vets. We hope to grow more and more, and we'll have retreats all around the world doing what we love, and so it is possible. And that's just obviously one example, but there's so many more, and so there's hope.
I had a moment like that with my coach this last week. I got on the call and I was zooming in from Bora Bora where I had just taken my solo birthday trip. And she's like, "How's it going?" I was like, "I love it. I like have always dreamed of living in a bungalow over the ocean. And I, just really want to move here." And she's like, "So move." And I was like, "Oh, wait." She like called me out in that moment, was like, "Move to an island. What are you doing living in Austin, Texas? If you want to be by the water, move to the water." And, in your mind, you're like, that's not even possible. I have a job and, a dog and, all these things. But in reality, it's like as easy as like, we'll move or,
Start looking at apartments.
right. Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
so easy. And just like having permission to your point, having like, that's the beauty of having a coach, right? You have somebody who can just give you permission to do things that your mind is having an upper limit on or saying, you can't have this or you shouldn't have this because society normally doesn't let you have it.
Yeah,
They get to just say, do it.
right, or maybe your parents have said this, or maybe your partner says something, or your employer, somebody in your life has said, like, "That's just not possible for you."
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's so many examples of this in my life too. I love your vacation example. Basically, my coach has done the same thing. Like, oh, your role is to create creativity and joy in your life. If adventure is one of your values, like, why aren't you taking a vacation every month? I need you to take a vacation every month. It's like, what? That's part of that's a job. Like, I get assigned going on vacation every month. But if it's in alignment with your values, then you're mismatched if you're not doing that regularly. And I'm mismatched by not going on vacation regularly. If I'm not living that out, then I'm not living according to values, I'm living according to society.
Mhm,
Crazy.
mhm.
All right, now the third step in our progress is the transformation, right? This is where you start to make small shifts, you understand what your values are, and you're starting to take those consistent and small steps that get you in the right direction and are starting to move you towards living out your life in alignment and in authenticity. Anna, have you ever had a moment where you started to make some small shifts like that?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. There are many times that I have been in this transition phase, and I think that I fluctuate between this phase and then the next one that we'll talk about often. And so, anytime that I recognize in life that I'm a little bit out of alignment, then I'm constantly trying to challenge myself to take the next step. And so, I have one coming up that I'm really excited to share.
Yay.
And summer evolution has made it really clear for me. So I have always dreamed of living in Hawaii. I've been going there since I was little. I've had lots of little like internships and externships and jobs, and so me and my husband Ashley have chatted about going there, and we don't know that we can be there full time or that we want to be, but we do want to spend significantly more time or potentially live there part of the year and then in Texas part of the year. And so we've made a commitment to each other that we're going to take basically a sabbatical. And this is one step that we can take towards experiencing the life that we want to live. And let me tell you, that is scary for many reasons because just like taking too many trips can be a little bit taboo. Taking a sabbatical is, like, almost unheard of in vet med, or there's a part of me that's like, "Shame on you, you shouldn't take
Mm,
this sabbatical or take this time, like, what are you doing that's so selfish?" Or "That's lazy or irresponsible," or
mm,
like, "What are you gonna do if XYZ happens during that time?" Or like, "What if you can't get your job back at the end of it?" And there's a lot of, like, scarcity mindset and, like, voices. My parents are like, "What the hell is a sabbatical?" I'm like, "I don't,"
what
like,
is this?
um, but my philosophy is, like, I you know, I'm finally at a place where, I'm earning a good income and we've saved a bunch, and I wanna be able to enjoy that and have a little bit more time abundance in my life right now, and I don't wanna wait till I'm retired to go and do the things that I wanna do. And so Ashley and I are going to take a sabbatical and we're taking 3 months off, and we've saved for it, we've prepared for it, we're super excited for it. And so this is for me a step in the right direction towards that. And yes, it feels scary and there's lots of voices, but I have a coach who's like, "You're doing it." And like, I'm gonna do it. I want it. It makes me feel lighter when I think about it. Like it's something that's a hell yes for me. So I'm doing it, and now I've said it on the podcast. So
You
hold
gotta
me
do it.
accountable, people.
Absolutely. Well, I'm proud of you for taking that step so you can be living in full alignment, even though it's scary. Staying with it and staying in that transformation phase is so good because then as you act that out, you're going to be right back to living your evolved self, which is so cool.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah. The final stage is going to be the alignment stage. This is where you know your values and you're living with them, which is so great. Usually in this stage, you're going to notice signs of being in flow. Things are going to come with ease. There will still be tests that show up, and you have to choose to pass those tests when they do show up. But it's a lot easier when you're in flow and harmonious with the world, with the universe, as we like to say, it's like a dance with the universe, right? So you're putting good energy out there, you're spending your money in a positive way, reciprocating values with other people around you, you're sharing positive thoughts, positive energy with them, and you're going to get that in return. People will give things to you for no reason, and it's going to seem very abundant, and you're going to be able to, take the trip that you've been desiring, or you're going to find that home that you've been manifesting for a really long time, or maybe it's your dream car that we've been manifesting. And anything else on this stage that you want to call out?
Yeah, I mean, this is what we aim for, right? The more time that you could spend in this stage, the better. The more fulfilled you're going to be because you're spending time on what lights you up. So, do you have any examples of how that's showing up in your life right now?
Boy, there are so many examples of how this is showing up in my life right now. As I'm working through the challenge, I actually found a point in my life where I was a little bit mismatched and I was out of line with my values. The areas that I was finding misalignment, I was feeling drained, exhausted. Um, and I've decided that I need to make a change in that process. My values are adventure, which is innovating, exploring, going on trips, traveling for work, having autonomy. I hate being constricted or controlled. That doesn't go well. I like to have a lot of freedom. And then community. So I love having very close connections with people. I believe that work and life is a harmony and that you should be able to be friends and travel the world with the people that you love and work with, and that's really important to me. And then, of course, I have impact. So I want not only in my life outside of work, but in work too. want to be able to have a high level of impact. I love coaching people one-on-one, making meaningful connections, helping bring change to hospitals in a positive way by giving them coaching and experience that I've had from running hospitals for 6 years. And then my last value is luxury. So I love like self-care, wellness. So being able to find something that's in alignment with me, being able to go exercise when I need to, or have the financial income if I need to, maybe get a massage one day. Those are all things that I'm looking for and what I want that to look like. Those are all very key in how to evaluate the next place and how I'm going to find fulfillment in that. And obviously, like getting to do that with Evolved Vets is super important and super fun too. And so, how can I find something that's going to be in harmony with all those pieces, my family, my community, my dating life, our what we're doing here at Evolved Vets, the women's lives that we're changing, which we can share more examples about, and then also how to find harmony in this one part of my life that is feeling out of sync. And while all these other areas are continuing to grow and I'm feeling and living out this evolved self, this one area is out of alignment. And that actually let me feel very exhausted and tired for such a long amount of time. At first, it was like, is this a season? Is this something I need to learn? And then as I've reflected over a longer period of time, it's just not alignment with my values, which means if I'm living in authenticity with my core values, then I need to be able to say it's time to move on and transition to something that is more aligned. So that's the process that I'm working on right
Yeah.
now as we go through the summer evolution, which
Great. No, it's a good insight. I mean, you've got to constantly reevaluate and then figure out what do you love? How can you make the biggest impact and what lights you up and how can you be helpful? So it sounds like you're doing all of those things, which is
totally.
awesome.
Yes. What about you? How's the summer evolution going for you?
So the summer evolution is going great. I'm feeling really fulfilled lately in a couple of areas. So I moved back to Texas so that I can be close to my family and my friends, and I've been able to just like text last minute and be like, "Do you want to grab dinner?" And I was able to do that with my brother and my sister-in-law and my husband, and then we could just kind of walk and hang out and like it just kind of hit me at that moment like this is why I came back. Like it's so I could do this. And so it was
Yeah.
really fulfilling. I felt very light. I felt at peace that I made the right decision. And there have been many other examples like that. I can be present for my dad's birthday, for Father's Day, for just other big events. My one of my best friend's baby showers. I love that I'm able to be present for those things. And so my family and friend bucket is like expanding so much compared to how it was before. So I love that. And that's why understanding my values was so important so that now I can see it come to fruition. And then, of course, the other areas in my life, I've been reevaluating like, how am I doing in these areas in my self care, health, wellness? That's going great as well. I'm able to spend time going to workout classes, or I just moved across the street from Whole Foods so I can get my healthy foods there. I've been able to feel really fulfilled in a coaching relationship that I have with my coach. So, all of that I'm loving and feeling also very aligned in. And then my bucket for travel is great. This is like the longest time that I haven't really traveled, which has been nice. I think too much of a good thing can be a lot. And so I haven't traveled in the last few weeks. I mean, it's really only been like a month, but for me,
That's a long time.
that's a long time. And so, but with my sabbatical coming up soon, it's gonna be great, and that bucket will be full. So I'm like spending time on the other values now. And then the last one is inspiring work, and I get to do this, which is really fulfilling for me. I'm also my full time job is being an ER doctor at Veg, and I love that. And I think what I'm realizing is that if I'm spending too much time doing that, there's a really big difference for me in from doing 12, 13, 14 shifts a month versus 10 shifts a month. And then also depending on how busy those shifts are, the timing of them. Are they swings, days, overnights? How many weekends am I working? Making small tweaks there and adjusting and figuring out what works for me is a learning process. So I'd say that's what I'm going through right now is figuring out what are kind of some of my boundaries around that because it's a
Mhm.
newer role for me and I'm learning and so some of those things I'm just going to learn the hard way And so if I like accidentally schedule 7 shifts in a row, which is a combination of like night shifts over a weekend and then a swing shift and then more night shifts, then I'm gonna learn that the hard way, that that was a really bad idea, and I should be more diligent about planning my schedule in advance. So yeah, I'm learning some things the hard way too. But such is life. Like the life's never just gonna be easy cruise control. But I'm feeling very fulfilled.
Great.
Yeah. So that's been great. So I'm really glad that we're able to go through the summer evolution and learn these things.
Along with other parts of our summer evolution, we've been able to track progress of our members, and we actually have some really cool steps that our people are making as they try to go from mismatch into alignment and becoming their evolved self. And what we're finding is some of our women have been approved to open their own business, which is super exciting.
Yay.
And some of our people are being offered these really cool roles,
Like really
huge
big
roles.
roles,
Yeah.
like chief veterinary officer, or a job offer in a dream state that they've always wanted to be in.
Right.
We've had even some other ways that people are processing the evolution is there is a lot of inner child work. So if you're joining the evolution, be prepared for that because that's going to stir up some emotions and things. We've had someone say that they have since hired a therapist because they realized they need to go even deeper in some of the inner child work. We've also had some other folks who have young kids and they're doing the inner child work and realizing, oh, there's so much that I need to do in my own work so that I can show up better for my kids.
Yeah, yeah, we've had many people come to us and say that this program is definitely going to help them be a better mom, a better leader, a better friend and sister, child, like all the things. Like it's just going to help them show up better in their workplace and in their personal life, which is like really all Anna and I want is to help serve you guys and help
Yeah.
y'all have that fulfilled life that we get to live. Even if there's small tweaks we have to go through or challenges we go through here and there, like the constant pursuit of being more aligned and getting one step closer to that dream vision that both of us have for our end goal is so special. And the more we can help y'all work through those small steps to help you live your dream life too is that's it's just
Yeah.
so special. I feel so grateful to be able to do this work with you
Yeah.
and for you.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And the having the women in this membership is so fulfilling for us. And it's a bunch of high achieving women. We've got a lot of like perfectionistic tendencies in the
Yes,
group.
guilty.
And yeah, all of us, all of us.
All of us.
And so we're working through those things together and we're able to support each other. And there's some people who are very new to meditation. And so they're learning that and very grateful to have the opportunity to learn that. And then we have some other folks who, when stuff is coming up in the meditations, like one example is in the inner child meditations, it's you have to kind of like go back and remember certain situations. Like, when was the first time that you felt insecure? When was the first time you felt not enough? And like, what are those memories that come to mind? It's new for some people. And so, what we kind of tell those people who are going through that is like, whatever comes to you, trust it. It doesn't have to be perfect. The details don't have to all be there, but like trust the feelings that are coming up because the way that this summer evolution is structured, it's meant to spark emotions and elicit this emotional response because that's where the change comes from. And so you just have to trust whatever comes up. There's no perfect way to do it. There's people who say like I didn't have time to do it this past week and I'm gonna cram and do a bunch today, or I'm a week behind, or I'm 2 weeks behind, and that's totally fine. We're gonna leave the evolution open for probably a month or two afterwards so that people can go through it, but you just have to trust what's coming up and take the baby steps to move forward and invest in yourself during this time because it's going to be so worth it, and it doesn't require a ton of time. It really doesn't. It's just you making a decision and showing up every day for that.
We invite you to show up, give that time to yourself because you deserve it. Understand your authentic values. That's going to be so huge to who you are, who you want to be. Understanding who you were when you were 3 years old. Like, what did you do for fun? And can you bring that version of yourself back to life today? Because if you're in flow, you're having fun, you're creating positive energy around you, that is the goal. Like, that is the life you deserve to live. You are worthy of it. So how can you continue to make those small, consistent steps and, pivot your life like twist your compass just a little bit more every day so you can actually live those things out. And one thing that I love about this summer evolution and doing it together with our community, success is different for everyone. Anna and I have different authentic values. The people in our community all have different authentic values, and those values can change based on where you're at in life. When I have a family, my version of community might change to family, but right now it's all about community, and that can be the family and friends that I have, but it can also be my chosen family, like the people that I'm close to or the people that I have Sunday supper with. And know that your values being unique to you is important. It might be different than what your parents expected or different than what your culture or society wanted from you or you expected, but that's okay. The most important thing is that you lean into what's in your heart and really like start to live that out.
And don't self-abandon. We've both been
done
there
that.
before.
It's a
Yeah.
bummer.
Yeah. No, it's not fun. You put other things or other people or expectations or societal values in front of your values, and ultimately you are self-sabotaging, you're self-abandoning, and you've got to come back to yourself. And that's what this evolution is about. It's about being able to put yourself first so that you can then go out and help people and be the light in the world that you were meant to be.
Totally. Yeah. Self-abandonment has been strong in my life. I grew up in a small town that was very religious, and I leaned so far into those values. So I like became a rule follower and I was dang good at being a rule follower. But in that process, like I lost some of who I am at my core, which is a little bit of a rule breaker, and I love to live autonomously and love to travel and I love being spontaneous, but I had to abandon all that for the society that I grew up in. And so self-abandonment even goes to vet school, like trying to earn a grade instead of like learn an experience. How many times have you self-abandoned and conformed to like a title or a job or cultural society and then had to rebuild after that? And that's what this process does. It helps you rebuild.
Yeah, I mean, I hear that, like the rule follower thing, and that's a form of people pleasing and perfectionism.
Totally.
And so I love that you're able to come out of that and put yourself first, and I can tell you're so much happier for it and you're thriving in all the areas of your life because of that. So the summer evolution, it's still open. Join now if you're interested, if any of this has sparked your interest, or reach out to Bethany or myself and we can schedule time to talk and learn more. But we're really excited to share it with everyone. We're so happy to see all of the transformations, and we will have some moments throughout August where we share the wins and the transformations that have happened in these testimonials from our members. So we're really excited for that and excited to see the progress that people make on the other side.
So please, if you haven't done so already, go take your authenticity and alignment quiz so you can understand what stage of authenticity you're in and how you can get started with our summer evolution.
Love it. Until next time, together, let's
Stop revolving
and start evolving. Until next time, let's stop revolving and start evolving.